So, Jess, how are you feeling after our week
You know,
off?
Dan, you're better seen and not heard.
Rude?
But I'm saying you're cute.
I'm a person, too, you know.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sadie Hawkins Pod.
Hello. I forgot how to do this. What is this?
Apologies if you're picking up a slight fan noise if you're wearing headphones. It is
Jessica's such a perfectionist.
It's so hot. We couldn't.
Just pretend you didn't heard that. Get it? It's not even a joke. It doesn't even qualify in the least as a joke.
You heard with purred.
What?
Isn't that the show in Parks and Rec? The news thing?
Oh, I don't remember that. Sure.
I think it's her.
Okay.
Heard, I think.
I have a few Parks and Rec references, but that's not one of them. That's not one of the ones I have memorized.
Oh, exciting top of the show business. Finally, lullabies are out.
That's the biggest news, I think, shaking up the Relient K fandom. You've heard of DC Fandom? The Relient K fandom is shaken to the core because Sparrow Sleeps, the preeminent, how was that word? Preeminent,
I think.
lullaby company for like pop rock and pop punk lullaby covers for children. They have like an MXPX one. Ooh. And they have other ones, I'm sure. And in some past...
I waited until I took a big sip of my water.
You shouldn't be trying to drink water when I'm coming at you with my witticisms. It's up to you if you want to risk drinking water. So, yeah, they have Paramore. It's Paramore covers, Weezer, Sum 41, all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
I mean, at the front, they would look like... Yeah, it's all pop punk covers. Sparrow, it's like all pop punk stuff. That's all they do. And for a couple episodes ago, maybe a couple months ago, we were like, I'm surprised there's no Relient K lullaby renditions. Because there's always lullaby renditions of every pop punk band. It took until 2020 for Sparrow Sleeps to do it. They announced it this week. I saw it on their Instagram. And I commented, and I'm like, I'm so glad this exists. We were just talking about how this needed to exist. And then they replied, and they're like, oh, better late than never. Okay. So they're real people.
Yes.
Because sometimes any of these kind of companies, you know, like what do you call them? The string quartet tribute.
Vitamin String Quartet?
Yeah, Vitamin String Quartet. You're like, are those real people? Or is that just like MIDI stuff that like one person in a closet plugs in and then uploads? I think Sparrow Sleeps is real people because when you go to their Twitter account, it shows two people.
Yeah, same with their Spotify, because that's the other news. What? Danny has indoctrinated me into the world of Spotify.
Just in time for this election year, I managed to flip Jessica
in
her beliefs from Apple Music to Spotify. It's something we've talked about way too often on this podcast, so it feels like a thread we need to continue.
I feel like I'm going against Apple, but whatever.
Why did you switch? There were multiple. You were telling me multiple reasons why you were fed up with Apple Music.
There are a couple different things. The recommendations are just not there. The home screen stuff, they're always like, hey, based on the fact that you listen to a lot of 1940s music and Lana Del Rey and Smashing Pumpkins, they're like, we think you would like whatever the new rap album is. And I'm like, what from what I listen to would make you believe that? Not that I wouldn't give it a listen, but I don't understand. So yeah, just wasn't whatever.
Well, you'll get to experience Release Radar and New Release Radar or whatever. Or whatever
the
those
only
things are
thing
called.
I'm not a fan of is that they also for some reason there's a couple John Mayer albums where it's just Continuum is the main one, where it's just the live version of the songs, so it's really annoying that I cannot listen to. It's the album cover is of the proper album, but then it's just live versions. And I'm like, I don't like
Are you sure you're
this.
Spotifying correctly?
No, that's Apple Music.
Oh.
That I'm talking about. That was another reason why I left. Was
The
I
way
was
you
getting
said
annoyed.
another problem,
Sorry.
you said another problem with, and I asked you what's wrong with Apple Music. You gave me the correct answer, but for some reason my brain flipped like we were talking
No,
about
sorry.
Spotify.
I was also going to say the only thing that I don't care for with Spotify is that they have all the like remastered and recorded versions. In some bands, they only have the remastered or recorded versions of songs, and I'm not like a fan of.
Yeah, but the remastered version is the best version, just like
the gold version.
the gold versions
yeah,
of Anatomy and Two Lefts.
Exactly. But that's enough about us. Let's talk about you.
Me?
Well, I mean, are there voicemails this week?
There are voicemails this week. Did you want to hear at least one Sparrow Sleep song real quick?
Yeah. Sorry. Oh, it was funny. Softer to Me is the second one on there. And when I think In Love with the 80s is the first one, or at least that's the one you played for me. And then Softer to Me came off and after that. And Danny didn't know what it was. And he was like, oh, this is like dark and kind of morbid. And I started laughing. And then finally it like picked up and he was like, oh, this is Softer to Me.
So the thing is, half the songs they did 10 songs, and yeah, so Sparrow Sleeps is definitely real artists. They're not a cover bot company at all. They're real artists.
Oh, I was going to say originally
people,
before I veered off
they
onto
engaged with
Spotify.
us,
Yeah, is that their picture on Spotify is of two dudes.
Right. So they engaged with us on Instagram and everything. So shout outs to them. Real people for sure. And yeah, they did 10 songs for 43 minutes, and most of these we already did on the show. So maybe we'll play one of these once in a while, but we'll just play one right now. So here is the Softer to Me version, and yeah, it starts off like a little scary. Look out, Jessica. Brahms the boy is behind you.
I was going to say, why are you playing Marilyn Manson music?
This is actual, yeah. Hold on. It sounds like Halloween music.
It does.
John Carpenter is a member of Sparrow Sleeps. So, yeah, I mean, with the melody broken out that way, it's very dramatic.
Right.
Like, this could be...
The In Love with the 80s one was cute.
Yeah. Did you want me to play a minute
play a
of
little
that,
bit of
too?
that.
Okay.
Just as a palate cleanser.
Did you just cheer up a little?
This also kind of sounds like it could be on a soundtrack at either a wedding or a funeral.
I guess. It's very nice. So
it is nice.
Of the songs they did, they already did In Love with... of the songs that we've already covered on this podcast, they done In Love with the 80s, Softer to Me, Candy Hearts, of all things, Baby, which I guess is that... Yeah, that's so funny that they did Baby but not Savannah. That's so odd. And Chapstick and Chaplips. So they've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've already literally half the album we've already done.
Yeah.
And now we've just played 3 of the songs, so we're almost caught up. Yeah, so that's great that exists now. And we have voicemails this week, so let's get to those. So first we have Beatrice calling back.
Hey, it's Beatrice. I just wanted to answer some questions for Jess because she asked last episode about my story of the church actually wasn't First Baptist.
So she's answering the question of...
the mega church First Baptist is not, but she does know somebody who goes there.
She talked last week about... I don't remember what song anymore. There's one particular song that go back and listen to the episode from 2 weeks ago, but she talked about a song that musically reminded her of a church where she was very uncomfortable, but lyrically she enjoys it.
It was an song.
It's so
Two
close.
last week.
It's so we did it 2 weeks ago.
Why do I want to say all the small things? I don't.
That class, yes.
It's so hot.
It's so hot.
Danny,
the whole
it's
point of
so
taking 2 weeks off
hot.
was that we could like cool down. Nope.
No, it didn't help.
It only
does
got
not,
hotter.
Oh my gosh.
It's temperatures of like 105,
Yeah.
110 in the northern areas
It's
of the
sunny with a high of
valley.
110.
Sunny with a high of 105.
in LA. And
Since I took my burnt off skin.
It's just too much. It's too much. It's frying our brains.
So we did Let It All Out. When we did Let It All Out, Beatrice talked
That was
about
it.
how that song reminded her.
Let it all out. All the small things.
Let it all out. Truth cares.
I thought you were going to go for like, let it all small things.
Let it
They're
all-
all small things, and the small things are the small things, and let go
All
of
right,
the
let's
small
get it together.
things.
Let's let Beatrice put us back on track.
But actually, I have a friend who, we've been friends. She's like a couple of years older than me, but we've been friends like for like 5 years now. And, she actually, I think she's like, I don't know, I think she's like been going to First Baptist for a while. So I know the church. I've just never been, but it's not that church. It's actually, a church that came here recently. It's called La Galinha. It's a Brazilian church. Like it came from Brazil, and then like they started like making new churches here and stuff. And so yeah, in case if you guys are wondering, that's what it was. And about that, I forgot the name of the church that you guys were talking about. It was like, hey, if anyone's from Orlando, like, is that place still a thing? I don't know it. Probably because the area I live in, Orlando, is like predominantly Latino. So like I don't really like go to like, I guess like predominantly white churches. I'm assuming it's a predominantly white church. Like I'm not even joking, like 60% of my school is Latino, so like I really just don't know. I really just know La Galinha and First Baptist because now like a lot of Brazilians go there too. Like yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to say. Bye.
So we were correct in believing she's from Orlando.
Yes.
Because in some
Cool,
you said
cool.
or
Okay.
last week that you were like, oh no, is she actually in? Yes, she's in Orlando.
Right on.
So very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. Status Church is the name of that church, and it was
Yeah.
a youth. It was a like young adults church located in Discovery Church. I looked this up all later.
That is where the To Write Love on Her Arms fame
Right, of
is.
course.
Yeah.
How did I not mention that?
Yeah.
That's considerable to
Yeah.
mention. The To Write Love on Her Arms girl, Renee, she went to that church.
Yeah.
And I went to church the night they announced the coming forth, or however you'd say it, like the public announcement of To Write Love on Her Arms is this thing that we have sprouting out from this church, this new thing that we're doing. And but the thing was that night at church, I was 100% zoned out. I don't know what I was thinking about.
I was with you.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
Okay.
You might have just been thinking about me.
Well, the thing is, when I go to church, like a lot of times, I use it
That's
almost
the
as like a
only
meditation.
That's the only time I went to that particular church with you.
Oh,
So I
okay.
was like, I don't even know if it was sprouting out, but I remember being like, oh, these t-shirts we've been seeing around for a while now came from this church, apparently.
Right. So, yeah, I completely forgot that that's where To Write Love in Our Arms started from. But yeah, so a lot of times when I go to church, I zone out. And it used to be like, my parents would be like, pay attention. And I realized like, no, when I go to church and I zone out, I'm typically thinking about problems and working through things. Maybe not praying in the sense of directly talking to God, but I'm not just like entertaining myself thinking about Star Wars and Batman. I'm like usually thinking of things and working through things in my brain. So that's what I was doing that night. And they were talking all about like, oh, we have this new thing. It's called To Write Love on Our Arms. Completely zoned out. And then at the very end, they put the big image up on the board. I'm like, oh, what is that? Is that a band? What is that? And then I just like left. And then like months later, they're all over the place, Hot Topic and everything.
Danny?
Yeah.
Are you sleeping when you're praying?
No. I just said I'm meditating. So anyway, thank you very much for calling back, Beatrice. And then we have an email from Daniel, voicemail from Daniel. We have 3 voicemails from Daniel. So we asked him, like, go ahead, you can leave longer voicemails again. So here we have a couple
Oh my
of
gosh,
voicemails.
there was a film in 2012 called To Write Love on Her Arms.
Oh yeah, it stars Kat Dennings.
What?
I've been wanting to see it. I don't know if it's going to fall in a bad category.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
this
possibly.
looks like a bad movie.
Like, I expected the Blue Like Jazz movie to be a lot worse than it ended up being. And so, like, sometimes, like, I was like, I had not watched Christian movies in years, and I'm like, oh, Christian movies are getting relatively good, especially compared to real bad movies that we've watched on Amazon Prime and stuff. I'm like, this is passable. So we haven't watched that movie.
Yeah, so the foundation started in March 2006, which makes sense because we were hanging then.
Right, we were
not
courting.
No, we were not
I
dating
know
yet,
we weren't
but,
dating. I'm
oh.
saying we were courting. We were friends.
Doesn't courting just mean like old-timey like dating?
Yeah, but courting means like
It's like a precursor to dating.
I don't really know what courting means, but my understanding of it is like you basically like you hang about the person and like with no romantic implications whatsoever, but knowing that you will be married one day, but you're not allowed to kiss or anything. You just court. That's what courting is.
Oh, March. I was like, I was dating somebody else in March of 2006, actually.
Oh, well, all right.
I just realized.
And I was trying to bring you to church so you could kiss dating goodbye.
I don't know what that means.
You don't ever heard it. Let's not worry about that.
I don't even know what that means.
You're a lucky one. So here is Daniel's voice. Daniel's first of a trilogy of voicemails.
Hey, it's Daniel. Leaving this voicemail right after listening to the latest episode, and preparing a big one because you're taking a week off. So I figure I got to get 2 weeks worth of voicemails in. Anyway, so the first thing is the theme of "Touch My Heavy Heart and Make It Light." Like you mentioned, it's also in the High 75. Well, it's also in "When I Go Down." The "You touch my heavy heart, and when you do, you make it light." That part, during that kind of like bridge or whatever.
Whoa, so that phrase appears in a song with the word high, and a song with the word out, and a song with the word down. It's all directional stuff. It's all about directions and making the heavy heart light. Think about it. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
There's a pattern there. It's like the contra code.
When you're down and out and when you're high.
Yeah.
Life, yeah.
Maybe it was a sly reference to nodding out when you do heroin. I don't know.
Yeah.
I watch movies. I know the terminology from movies.
So that's another phrase that's similar to the words "forget" and "slow." Appear in 3 different songs on. Just like they appear in 3 different songs on "Forget Not Slow Down." So that's kind of interesting. I never really thought about that before. This isn't super important, but "Let It All Out" is in the key of B, and it's a really heavy piano song, which I find interesting. I kind of wonder if like it started out written in the key of C, which for anybody who doesn't play piano, key of C is like all white notes, like C major is anyway. B major then is like really difficult because it's like you have to shift every single one of those almost to black notes, black keys rather. I wonder if he originally wrote it in C and then to tie it into which to bury, which is in the same key, but like maybe they also started writing that one in C, or A minor is the relative key, on guitar. But then when they started tuning their guitars down half step, for this album, it turned it into, A flat minor, which is B major, G sharp minor. I'm confused. Anyway, I don't know. There just may be something there, because I would not think to just, I'm gonna sit down at the piano and write a song in the most difficult key to play in, which I think would be B. I don't really play piano, but anyway.
So, I, like usual, I have no notes or comments on his incredible point of view on what the keys are in the
Right.
song, let it all out and everything.
But thank you for letting us know, and for letting listeners know who do want to know those things. And I mean, not that we don't want to know it. We do want to know it.
But it's not pertaining.
Right.
It's not keeping in my head. However, when he talked about, like, when Daniel just now talked about, it being, there's so much piano in the song and everything, David Park sent a tweet after the episode saying, this sounds like an hold on one second, I have the name here. Andrew McMahon song. And he's the guy from Something Corporate and Jack's Mannequin. Yes.
Oh, yeah. That came up.
That came up a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
When we found a Punk News review where that reviewer was also comparing Matt Thiessen and their style at that time to Something Corporate and Jack's Mannequin.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it seems like I have never listened to something Corporate. And as we talked about last time we talked about Jack's Mannequin, I definitely have seen the Jack's Mannequin cover in many record stores, but I never looked into it until this podcast. So apparently that must have been a big influence for Thiessen at the time, I guess, possibly. This is around the time that they're shifting to more piano, right? Like bringing Schneck on, even though this is and this is before they have 5 members of the band so that Thiessen can play more piano. That seems to be the progression they were going on. They wrote more piano songs for so that they could bring on 5 members and have Thiessen playing piano. And maybe he was influenced, or maybe not, I don't know, by Andrew McMahon. So anyway, more of Daniel's voicemail.
Yeah, I totally don't think Five Score is a perfect album. Like you said, that there's like 3 perfect albums in a row. I think Five Score is the odd one out. Also for the reasons that you think like and Forget Not Slow Down are great albums, which is like the songs flow into each other and it's like all planned out and everything, there really isn't much of that at all on Five Score, and I was kind of disappointed. But that's a discussion for another time. But anyway.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I do not consider Five Score a perfect album. I think that it is like a little less thought out in sequencing and in just being put together kind of in general. Right. And the songs have more of that like pop sensibility than...
And it's more of a collection, because there's 2 types of albums. There's songs that are a collection of songs they've written since the last time they had an album. And by they, I mean any band. And there's full albums. There's like, these songs can only exist with these songs. These songs purely were written and conceived together to be part of this one album. Like a movie is a bunch of scenes that can only be in the same movie, So, like, you can't just take scenes out of one movie, although certainly...
Sure you can.
Sure you can, but it makes it not a good movie.
Right.
So I completely understand how Five Score does not necessarily fall into that thing like and Forget Not Slow Down, where now I'm noticing, based off of our discussion last week, that leads directly into it leads more into Forget Not Slow Down than anything.
Oh, yeah.
And it's almost like more like Deathbed considered its own thing. Also leads into Forget Not Slow Down. So it's like the amazing album specific work they did with and then sort of the opening up of what constitutes a Relient K song that Deathbed kind of opens up. I'm not saying every song has to not sound like Deathbed. I'm saying it opens up the doors to more types of songs can be considered Relient K songs. So you have Forget Not Slow Down, you can have Savannah, and you can have Sahara, and you can have these kind of songs that do not sound like what Relient K would have sounded like up to that point. You know what I mean?
Right. And you've got so much more going into like the production of the songs and everything.
And maybe Five Score, and maybe Daniel will get into this, Forget Not Slow Down is, not Mark Lee Townsend So
Right.
it's not. It's something they decided to do, but maybe from
Yeah,
that
just
point of view,
Deathbed.
working with someone, yeah.
And maybe another song off of
I
it?
think
Crayons.
Crayons.
Yeah.
The shortest song and the longest song. Or Markley
Sorry,
Townsend.
I'm from the South. I say
Crayons.
crayons.
Craypaws. Craypaws can melt on us for all I
Crayons.
care. So it's like, new producer, maybe just not the same kind of sense to get working together, but they had a bunch of great songs. That's Five Score to me is a perfect album in that it's not an singular album work. It's just all great songs. There's no skippable songs to me on Five Score. And here's the rest of Daniel's voicemail.
Yeah, so I thought Relient K was like sucking now because they're writing these like dumb, like Coldplay sounding songs, like Let It All Out. Like once I learned to like those songs, which I really do, it became easier for me to like branch out into other styles of music. I feel like during high school and stuff. So kind of a weirdly important song to me, even though I wouldn't say it's like one of my favorites or even in my top 10. Sorry, I'm trying to look at my notes.
I love that he's got notes.
Yeah.
He's ready. It's like George Costanza. You don't watch Seinfeld, and not that I even watch it, not that I'm the biggest Seinfeld fan, but there's this one thing where he's like, George one time, he's like, I had such a great phone conversation with this woman that he's dating or interested in. It's like, I had such a great phone conversation, not even halfway through, I threw my notes away. Like, that's such an insecure schlub that he is. He has to bring notes to a phone conversation. Not a phone message. This is different. I'm not making fun of Daniel in that way.
Call him an insecure schlub.
No, I called George Costanza an insecure schlub. That a conversation with a person of the opposite. It doesn't even explain. I'm not comparing him. Whatever.
I do think that Who I Am Hates Who I've Been is the better choice to go after Let It All Out. Like if you think about it in terms of the two halves of a record, you're starting side B with Who I Am Hates Who I've Been, which comes in with a bang, and I would rather have that for my start of side B than, even though I love it, Apathetic. It's a cool intro, but I don't know. And so I always did think it was weird that they put it on the vinyl of that, although I'm confused that you seem to say that like there was a vinyl of back in 2004. I don't remember that, but maybe I'm wrong. And it had Apathetic on it. That's weird. I don't remember that. I don't remember hearing Apathetic until sometime in like 2005, and it was on MySpace. And I remember listening to it in my computer class. Or sorry, not MySpace, Pure Volume, and then eventually it came out on the EP.
So to answer Daniel's comment about was there a vinyl in 2004, I guess hypothetically I don't really know, but all I was saying that off of was based off of Discogs, which usually Discogs, the people are making corrections to it all the time, so who knows. There is a vinyl pressing that says it was limited to 1,000, printed in 2004. That could be a mistake. Somewhat hypothetically speaking, someone could have had a copy of one of the limited pressings from because there are multiple pressings that happened in 2014 and onward. Maybe someone added it to Discogs and they were like, this record came out in 2004, so this is a 2004 record, and maybe it's in Discogs for that reason. But for now, there's this, if you go to the full list on Discogs of all versions of that they have listed, and absolutely stuff's missing, stuff's incorrect, it gets corrected all the time. I get emails from Discogs every day saying a release that you've interacted with is being changed in some way, and I'm like, I don't care. I get hundreds of these every day. I don't care. So maybe this is wrong, but it says that there's a November 2nd, 2004 vinyl release by Goatee Records, and there's a serial number, and it's got the track listing with Apathetic Way to Be opening side C and the hidden track ending side D. So if that's wrong, that's wrong, but that's what I thought. That's what I was reading here. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised when you said that there was a vinyl in 2004, because vinyl was just not really a thing in 2004.
Vinyl has never not been a thing.
Right. I mean, it's never fully gone away, but it was a lot less prominent.
But I mean, like, that's how Vinyl Countdown was released.
I guess
we're
that's
talking
true.
6 years before people heard it on CD and eventually on MP3. So hypothetically speaking, if Discogs, and I'm just going off Discogs, if Discogs is not incorrect and there was a 1,000 copy only pressing of to vinyl, like for some special, like hard to get reason, maybe they threw Apathetic on there, and that was the only place to get Apathetic in 2004. And then they planned the EP, and yes, I remember Daniel's correct. They released this on Pure Volume. I remember they released it on MySpace, like any place that was a place to stream music back then. Before, when it was literally just in the HTML in a player, they had it on their pages. I don't know. I mean, I guess if hypothetically, if we can ever talk to someone from Goatee Records, or if anyone remembers any of this or has a copy of this alleged 2004 pressing,
We should ask RK's Too Sick.
but I think he just collects CDs. I think that's his.
Okay.
There is someone I've been talking to recently about. He has a massive collection of like everything. I'm not sure if we could talk about him in the future. Now I need to unlock my phone, and we can...
Yes, the sound at the end of the song Collapsible, at the beginning of Collapsible Lung, I think might not be a door. I think it might be like a standby switch on an amp or something like that. Sometimes they kind of have a little snappier sound. So like if we walked into the room where the amp is like already turned on, but it's on standby, you can turn the standby switch and then just like start playing. But of course, well, I think it starts out with an acoustic, so maybe that doesn't make too much sense. I don't know. Anyway, that's just my theory on what it is. You mentioned Horse Girl, the Alison Brie movie. I watched it not too long ago. It's really good. You should watch it.
Well, there you go. That's a recommendation.
And then at the end of Over It, with the saxophone and everything, so I never really thought about, like, obviously I knew it was a saxophone, but the clarinet and the bassoon, I never really heard those instruments before, but I listened to it again with headphones, and it seems like the clarinet is doubling the main like that melody, like an octave higher than the saxophone is, or maybe even 2 octaves higher. It's really far in the background, so it's really hard to hear, but I'm pretty sure I can hear it a couple times, kind of popping out in the mix. And then the bassoon, I think, and maybe some combination of like bassoon and saxophone and clarinet is just like holding out long notes, like underneath all that to kind of like give it like the chord structure it needs. But you don't really, I mean, you can hear those, but like you don't pay attention to them. You just hear the sax. I never really noticed them at all before. So anyway, that's 3 super long voicemails. Hope you guys have a good week off. And yeah, talk to you later.
Well, you should change your name from You Can See My Socks to You Can Hear My Sax. So that's totally what I thought, though. The fact that they were multiple wind instruments credited on that Forget Not Slow Down song we did.
Over It.
I had a feeling they must be layered in with the saxophone because
Yeah.
I didn't hear them anywhere else in the song. So that makes sense the way he described that. So those are our voicemails. Thank you very much, everyone, for calling, for the 2
Yes.
people for calling. And
That's everyone.
Yep. And so today we're talking about Seen and Heard. And of course we picked it because coming up soon, and I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but if you've seen it in the title of the episode, but yes, we have our second member of Relient K being interviewed on Sadie Hawkins' pod.
Exciting
Part
stuff.
of me is like, should I put the time code for the interview? Because people are just going to want us to skip ahead to
Right.
the interview. And we didn't do that with John Schneck. I know a lot of other podcasts do that. They're like, you don't want to stick around for all the discussion.
Right.
So maybe I'll put the time code in there so people can skip to the interview.
Yeah.
But it's big doings. And we've already had the interview. It was great. He's a great guy. He's very funny.
Yeah, no, Danny mainly does the interview there.
Yeah.
I just kind of come in at one point, and man, I was trying to impress Danny.
With some knowledge.
With some
And I had to-
MXPX knowledge.
And I had to MXPX actually her
Yeah.
on something.
I was just
So
trying,
I apologize when that comes up later.
I was just trying to be cute for you, and Danny just shuts me down and makes me look like a dork in front of our guest.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Well, next time.
I know the title of 2 MXPX albums. And I was so proud to use that knowledge. And I was wrong to do so.
No, you weren't. I'm proud of you, and I'm proud that we were able to secure this guest. So it's a big get.
Yeah.
I hinted at it earlier. I said a couple weeks ago. I said we're having our second member of Relient K to appear on this podcast, and this is them today because today we're talking about the Seen and Heard. Our guest this week was not in the band really at the time that this song was recorded, but let's go ahead and start talking about it.
Yeah. So classic Relient K wordplay in the title here.
Right. It's so funny because in all of the live clips that I found, and this song was a staple of the 2008 Warped Tour for them. They played the 2008 Warped Tour, and they had Bird and the B-sides, like, backdrops behind them. Like, I don't know if they were made of, like, particle board or some sort of... But they weren't just hanging. They weren't, like, a drape.
They were made of Particle Man?
They were like giant boards of the tennis racket and the bee behind them on stage. So they were promoting this record specifically on Warped Tour 2008, which is kind of weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The B-side collection with the fake EP of new songs on it.
Right.
And they're promoting that hardcore on Warped Tour. And they played this song multiple dates. I have all of these different Warped Tour shows. And a couple of festivals from that same summer.
That's why it's a secret real album.
I know, exactly. And Thiessen loved when introducing this song to make sure you knew the pun. Because he's like, this song is called Seen and Heard. And then he spelled it out on stage multiple times. He's like, I cannot let the hilarious irony get past this crowd. I can't let them wait till they get the CD later, the Bird and the B-side CD. They need to know now how clever this pun was, and I just found that kind of funny. It's like after the first time he spelled it, I'm like, okay. And the second time, the third time I watched the live video, I'm like, they get it. Well, they didn't get it. It's a different crowd every night. But I'm just like, just call it the Seen and Heard, and then you play it, and then a couple months later, people will get the CD and be like, oh, Seen and Heard, tapping their foreheads. Like, I get it.
That's like when we went to see Michael Bublé. We saw him on the same tour twice because we saw him at that Madison Square Garden show that they did the live recording of.
Right.
We were at that one, and we had also gone upstate to see him in Albany earlier on that same tour.
I remember.
And he had all the exact same stage banter. It was like literally the same show.
Right.
Like they did not expect you to go see Michael Bublé twice on the same tour.
I haven't talked about this account really here, but overheard at a punk show, the Twitter and Instagram account that I run. Right now with COVID happening, I don't get a lot of submissions from people because there aren't shows happening. So I get an occasional one of something that happened like last year. And I've been getting a ton of stuff from the band Water Parks. And then like people who follow are like, first of all, some people are like, Water Parks isn't a punk band. But then other people are like, man, you really love Water Parks. And I'm like, I just post what I get. Right. I just post what I get. But now what's happening is like I keep posting these water park things, and some people are like, they said this at my show too, and I'm like, okay, it's clearly written banter,
right?
Because I also remember when Blink-182, when I saw them on the Loser Kids tour, and they had all this particular banter, and then I read a review from another city a couple days or weeks later from that same tour, and their review cited all the exact same banter. It was then in 1999 or 2000, whichever it was. I realized the album was 99, but I don't remember what the Loser Kids tour was. David Park right now. I was like, oh, bands just like write this stuff out like a script.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's possible. The lyrics to the song seem pretty surface level. It's not like another Bird and the B-side song that like I feel like we broke open, which was The Lining is Silver, where on the surface level, a lot of people hear that song and they think, oh, it's about looking for the silver lining. And we broke it open. We're like, no, it's about not judging people for their sins and seeing the silver lining in all of the people around you, whether they're Christian or not. It's like a much deeper thing than just look for the silver lining. But it seems like this song is probably just at its surface level about being cool and being punk and not going with the crowd.
Yeah, it's a song about like not conforming. It's like the opposite of Sellout by Real Big Fish. It's a song about how the band's gonna keep doing what they do, and they're not gonna conform or like stick to any particular sound to appease fans or labels or anything, and they're just gonna keep on keeping on because they're having a good time.
So one thing that came to mind listening to this song is the last time, like this episode where we're having a member of Relient K interviewed on the podcast.
Right.
Last time when we talked to John Schneck, he revealed some big secrets about this album that I feel like I was never aware of, and that's basically that with Bird and the B-Sides, the band was under obligation to release a new album, and basically they didn't want to make their next album right then. They weren't ready to go into the studio, but they had to. So that's why it's kind of packaged in this way of quote unquote being an EP and being packaged together with old songs, because they were like, we don't want this to be the next Relient K album, but they had to release an album. So part of me wonders if, and then the big reveal in that episode was that the bird, because the phrase is birds and the B-side, but the Relient K album is called Bird and the B-sides, and it might be that the B-sides is the second half, which is B-sides, and the Bird is the Nashville, Tennessee EP, which is them flipping the bird to the record label. Right. That's what Schneck said the title of the album may be in reference to. To his credit, he was like, he said something along the lines of, I feel like this is true. You know, like your memories kind of warp over time. So he didn't want to like 100% be held to what he was saying in that moment, but he felt like it was true. So I'm wondering if Seen and Heard is, especially because it rhymes with bird, if the Seen and Bird, it's like, if this is the song that like is specifically pointed at the record label for making them make this record that they weren't prepared to do. Yeah. And how they're like, here I am, different drummer, but it's like, because there's references in this disc to the fact that Dave has left the band and Ethan's now in the group, right? Yeah. And in a way, it's like nice that the record label did force them to, because then we get multiple records with Ethan, because otherwise we just would have had the 2 records with Ethan, and one of them is barely Ethan. Like, we've learned that they've kind of like replaced some of Ethan's drumming on some Collapsible Lung songs and stuff, right? So we get more than just one pure Ethan drumming record. We get this one too, and here he is referencing, it's me, different drummer but the same routine, right? So it's like, it's us, it's Relient K, here we are, things have changed up, but we're still doing our thing. And then he launches into all these other lyrics about, can I sell this music? Is this making enough product for you, right? I think this is actually the song. I think this song is mostly geared at the record label for putting them in this position where Ethan has just joined the band. They're kind of still hashing out possibly where they are as a band now with the new drummer. And the record label's like, get in the studio, record half an hour's worth of new music, you know?
Sorry, I'm singing LAX by
Big D and the Kids Table?
By Big D and the Kids Table in my head.
Okay, why?
Because it's the kind of similar vibes.
Yeah, all those F-bombs they drop.
Yeah, exactly.
When I saw Big D and the Kids Table at the Ska Summit in Las Vegas in 2003, it was like a one-day Warped Tour style show where you have 2 or 3 stages, but each stage has 2 stages next to each other. Because they didn't have those rotating stages back in the early 2000s, you had to have 2 stages right next to each other. That's how Warped Tour used to work when I was your age. Nowadays, when you go to,
just staring at him like I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just reminiscing now. I could get to my Big D story faster, but I'm reminiscing now. Warped Tour used to be, and maybe this is how Warped Tour went up to the end, but I
never got to go to Warped Tour.
I know, I'm so sorry. Bummed. You'd have 2 stages. Now, you've been to festivals with me where they have a rotating thing in the middle of the stage.
Right.
And so the band is prepping behind the rotating stage for the next band while one band is up on stage playing. They've even done that at the Playboy Jazz Festival.
I was going to say they do that at the Hollywood Bowl.
That's a pretty common setup now. the cheaper way to do that is to literally have 2 full stages, 2 completely full,
right next
with
to
the
each
full
other.
rigs,
Gotcha.
the full lighting. Maybe they both have televisions, whatever. They have full everything right next to each other. And when you'd go to Classic Warped Tour and you'd have 2 bands that were playing back to back, and you want to be up front, you have to decide which of those 2 bands you'd want to be up front at, right? So, because I specifically had a memory of, and I'm getting away from Ska Summit now and talking about Warped Tour in Boston in the early 2000s. Newfound Glory was going on right then, right? And I was like, I like Newfound Glory, okay, but I don't need to be up close for that. So people are leaving the stage that just finished playing and going over getting ready for Newfound Glory, and Mighty Mighty Boss Tones are going to play at this on the left stage right after Newfound Glory. So as people are leaving the left stage, I'm running up to the front.
Right.
And now I'm there, and now more people who will just want the Boss Tones who don't really care about Newfound. That's how Warped Tour used to work.
Gotcha.
Ska Summit worked exactly the same way, and Big D and the Kids Table played, but there was because it was like a municipal like city thing. It wasn't just like a private event. There's like the city had something to do with it. It was a one-day full thing, and it was like on public property in a skate park or something, like a city skate park. Everyone wasn't allowed to swear like openly.
Oh, weird.
You know what I mean?
In Las Vegas?
Right, but because it was a big public outdoor
You're allowed
event.
to like walk around with booze there. Like,
well, this was off the strip somewhere. This wasn't even in Fremont Street. This was like in the city limits, but somewhere else, somewhere off of, not near the casinos at all. It was in a skate park in the middle of a field. But yeah, the bands had all been told, like, don't just openly swear. Like, if you have 1 or 2 swears in your songs, go ahead and say them, but don't like just swear. Because multiple bands kept commenting on it out throughout the day.
Right.
And when Big D went on and played LAX, people were requesting. It's like, I don't think we can play that song. I think it's got too many swears. So he was like self-censoring throughout the song, and
hilarious.
it was really hard for him to do. It was really funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, seen and heard. What were we talking about with Seen and Heard before I went on that huge tangent about Warped Tours and Ska Summits?
I don't know, but that punchline was like so short that was such a Danny story.
That was a Danny story.
That was a classic Danny story.
Big build up. I'm sure people have heard him on the podcast already, but a big build up to a very minor punchline. Magnified Pod has definitely heard those when I've left them voicemails.
Yeah, in college we called those Danny stories, where he would just like have this huge ramble building up to something, and then he would eventually 20 minutes later get to the punchline, and it was like nothing, like something he could have done in like 30 seconds. I love you.
Well,
I love your Danny
I'm
stories.
definitely not the kind of person to have a podcast, then, am I? I'm better.
I think that means you're exactly
I'm
the kind
better
of person
seen and not heard.
have a podcast. So this week, while I was listening, doing my listen through, I ended up letting like the next songs keep playing after this, and I forgot how much I love this album or EP or B-side collection, whatever you want to call it.
I didn't forget how much you love this album.
I know, like
Whenever I think of this album, I think of how much you loved playing it together in the car.
Because 5 Score, we've talked about it, kind of passed us by a little bit. We were really busy in college when that album came out. But even though we never stopped going to Relient K shows during that time, we would just be like, oh, these are just like newer songs that we aren't as familiar with. We knew like the singles off of that album and everything. But yeah, Bird and the B-sides became a major staple in my car 6-disc changer for quite a while there. And I was like, oh, I love this album
And it
so
is
much.
one CD, not 2 CDs.
It is one CD. Yeah.
So there is, it's funny because there's this, I think that the first half of this song, up to the bridge, basically is pointed at like the industry and maybe the label specifically. But then in this little sort of bridge section, the lyrics change, and these are like the most memorable lyrics in the song, and odds are that you probably magically got this song for free. I'm not sure if it bothers me. It's fine because I'm having a good time. He's like specifically talking about the rise of pirated music, MP3s, Kazaa, LimeWire, Napster. I'm an old school Napster person, so whenever I hear people reminiscing about MP3 trading stuff, they're always talking about Kazaa and LimeWire, and I barely used Kazaa and LimeWire because I had the first original generation of Napster, the one that Metallica sued. Like, I remember using Napster and using that to download Get Up Kid songs and the Toasters and Journey, which is sort of out of left field. But I have specific and like all those Weird Al Yankovic songs that aren't Weird Al Yankovic songs that are racist and stuff.
Right.
Those also, and Barbie Girl by Homegrown labeled as MXPX, like and the original Napster. You know what I mean? And then when I finished with Napster, because it went away, because it literally got sued out of existence or whatever happened with Napster, and people started migrating to LimeWire and Kazaa, and those were loaded with viruses. I was like, it felt more dangerous. Like, I was like, I don't want to use LimeWire and Kazaa. Napster was actually you could get a virus from Napster, but it was a somewhat safer format, the original Napster, than Kazaa and LimeWire. So I moved on to FTPs. Who cares? Or an FTP thing. Basically, you're letting someone literally log into certain folders in your file in your computer and download those MP3s.
So sketchy.
But it's not, because they can only get into the folders that you designate.
Yeah. Before, I was a little bit of a technophobe in high school and stuff. So before I got my Mac and iTunes, where then I could just easily click and purchase whatever songs I wanted, I remember there was a time where because I wanted to be a filmmaker, so I had like multiple VCR setup and TV setup in my bedroom. So I would like copy movies and stuff. So I had a friend who was really into like downloading music illegally and stuff. So I would take songs that were really hard to find, that like I couldn't just go to the store and get the whole album of, like really like random songs off of like soundtracks and stuff, and I would make a list of like a mix CD for her to make me, and we would trade, and I would illegally like record a tape from Blockbuster of a movie she wanted, and we would trade off. So I would give her the VHS and she would give me the CD. You're
such a pirate. You should have brought this up when we talk about the pirates who don't do anything. So FTP was more of a precursor to BitTorrent. BitTorrent is not a follow-up from Kazaa. BitTorrent is exactly the same. People are downloading files directly. Kazaa worked the same way, but they're more directly, like there's no client. Like Kazaa and Napster had a client. They had a program that lived centrally and found everyone's computers to send files between each other. BitTorrent and FTP is like basically you're in a way logging into someone's computer and getting whatever. No, FTP. I'm not a tech guy. I just know how it works at the front level.
Well, I love that ringing guitar feedback in the beginning of this song, because you know that you're about to rock.
This is like it's not quite an easy core song, speaking of Newfound Glory earlier, but this is almost like easy core through a Relient K lens. It's not easy core at all, but it's just like not hardcore, but it's like hardcore pop punk in a way.
I like that then the end breaks down into acoustic, and it flows so perfectly into, at least we made it this far. The birds chirping start at the very end of this track for like 2 seconds from the end of Seen and Heard, and then they carry on into the beginning of At Least We Made It This Far, which is really nice.
That is nice. And they mention a bird in this song, and the bird of the title is supposedly flipping the bird to the record label, so they're mentioning the bird in this song. Block out
there's the chirping.
The Seen and Heard block out the sun like a flock of birds, and I don't want to go. So I'm guessing because the seen and the heard of the title of the song are like, to use a mixed metaphor, they are the sheep. They're the people who just do things because it's popular.
Right.
So in this moment, he's saying the seen and heard. He's also mixing a metaphor. He's saying there's so many people devoting their lives in their scene to the same old thing. There's so many of them, they're blocking out the sun like a flock of birds. The seen and heard are already sort of a metaphor, and then they're being compared with a simile because they're blocking out the sun like a flock of birds. It's confusing.
I love the way your brain works.
I don't. Did you look up song meanings or anything like that?
I did. I do, in fact, have a deep dive. Let me see.
But before you get into that...
Okay.
we'll be right back. Right? Is that okay? We'll be right back.
Yeah.
I remembered this week.
I know. We usually don't do it before the deep dive. We usually do it before we do your
Hold on,
YouTube
we're not going
segment.
anywhere yet.
I was like, oh, you want to do it now? That's fine. We're running a little long. It makes sense to do it here.
We'll be right back. If you'd like to interact with Sadie Hawkins Pod, please do. We have a voicemail line, which is 402-95-SADIE.
You can also send us an email at sadiehawkinspod@gmail.com.
And check out our Twitter and Instagram, which are both at Sadie Hawkins Pod.
We'd also like to take this moment to thank our patrons who have signed up at patreon.com/sadiehawkinspod.
We've got Brady, David, Tucker, This Might Be a Podcast, Owen, Jimmy Eat Pod, Roxanne, and Samantha.
If you'd like to join our Patreon, we're discussing most of the K is for Karaoke tracks, like Justin Bieber's Baby and Cake's The Distance. We've done some random stuff, like a video of us playing Animal Crossing and discussing our summertime playlists.
Oh, and we're reading through the entirety of the Relient K related book, Complex Infrastructure, known as The Female Mind. And hey, if you thought there wasn't a Relient K book that makes a short bus joke, well, sign up and learn how wrong you were.
There are $2, $5, and $10 levels where you can get those bonus apps and extras like merch.
And if you have a special someone in your life, think of giving them the gift of Sadie Hawkins Pod.
And we're back.
Back from the future, because this is the future.
That's
this
right.
is after the episode. That's the nice thing about us taking breaks now is when we need to add something in after the edit, we can do it right here.
Sadie Hawkins Pod, after pod.
In the middle of the pod. So after we finished the episode, which we'll get back to, Beatrice sent us a cover.
Nice.
Which is great because there are no covers when we return to our regularly scheduled episode.
She's
there will
cornered
be no
the
covers.
market. Yeah.
So thanks to her for sending it. And here, I'll play it.
So here it is, it's just me. A different drama, but the same old beat. It seems like everything is gonna be just fine, 'cause I'm having a good time. As long as I'm staying true to myself, then now it isn't something I can sell. And I can sleep at night without your help, it's fine, 'cause I'm having a good time. Oh, the seen and heard seem to make it all just a little bit worse.
I like that she did the little snap there.
Yeah, I
she's
like
getting
it.
into it. Keep the beat, snapping.
I like it.
It's
She's
great.
a nice voice.
Yeah, it's a real nice voice.
And I like her Aladdin shirt.
Oh, yeah, is that what that is? I didn't notice.
I feel so weird right now because we're actually recording this we usually record on my laptop and I usually do all the monitoring and everything. And so I feel very odd because we're actually recording from Danny's laptop right now. And so he has the headphones on and it's very disconcerting.
The tables have turned. So it's also nice seeing this video because Beatrice is in the video and it's got 19 views already.
Nice.
And we're only 2 of them. So other people are watching this.
Nice.
Good for her. And yeah, people, she follows us on Instagram and Twitter, but I don't go looking at people's accounts. So this is the first I've really seen what she looks like. So that's cool. So thank you very much.
Yeah, please send more in.
Yes. Send in more covers and everyone send in your covers.
Yeah.
And now we'll return to the rest of the episode in which there are no covers. The Dark Universe.
I saw that you probably magically got this song for free.
So this song has been translated into a lot of languages. There were a lot of lyric sites from different countries that popped up in my deep dive this week. A lot more than usual, because they're always there, but they're usually a lot further down in my Google search results. These were like really prominent, and yeah, lots. The song must be beloved in a lot of countries, because you're looking at me so weird. I don't...
It's because you swung your arm back to sell your point, and your hand went over the trash can, which has a motion detector, so it opened up, and I just thought it was so funny, and I couldn't laugh.
Butts Darren 4 years ago on Reddit responded to a post asking the most underrated Relient K song and said, "The Seen and Heard, by far my favorite Relient K song," and there's 11 upvotes.
Nice.
Then we have
Those 11 people are just the herd. They're just going along with the same old drummer.
so here's a blog about Warped Tour and the release of Bird and the B-Sides.
Mm-hmm.
From Jessica 12 years ago, not me. The adorable Christian pop rockers, or at least they were when I listened to them, Relient K, is celebrating their 10th anniversary.
They're not adorable anymore?
With a new EP set to drop on Goatee Records July 1st and touring all summer on the still going strong Warped Tour. The Bird and the B-Sides EP includes a whopping 26-track, 70-minute runtime with 13 brand new songs and a series of B-sides from the band's 10-year history. Before the EP has hit stores, Relient K will launch an online scavenger hunt, giving fans a chance to download a number of B-sides that won't be included on the new record. The hunt begins June 16th on Relient K's MySpace page and will continue through June 30th.
I've heard of this scavenger hunt, but I thought it was for a different record.
It was for this one because it came up a lot in different, just people talking about it in sort of different things.
I've heard of the Relient K, yeah, maybe it was this record. I've heard of the Relient K scavenger hunt, and I just could have, I sworn it was for like Collapsible Lung or something. I'm wondering if anyone out there ever did that scavenger hunt. I know those songs are just now on YouTube.
Right, but I would love to hear from anybody that actually did it, that knew it was a thing. We were just trying to think of what our fans would want from a B-sides record, explains lead singer / guitarist / pianist Matt Thiessen. We're like, they probably just want everything, so let's try to give it to them.
Where was Operation then?
Along the way, the band decided to include some new tracks, a concept that quickly morphed into, hey, why doesn't everybody in the band write a song? All 5 members wrote songs and take turns on lead vocals. It's perhaps Relient K's most diverse effort to date, including Thiessen's alt-country, At Least We Made It This Far, bassist John Warren's The Last, the Lost, the Least, which is explosive both sonically and in its social commentary, and new drummer Ethan Luck's punk rock reggae, No Reaction, to name a few.
To name 3 out of 5.
A few highlights, yeah.
That's like,
okay.
You know the Gilligan's Island theme song? When like the first couple seasons, they were like, and the rest. Mm-hmm. You're like, there's only 2 more. And in later seasons, they actually said The Professor and Marianne.
As a co-headliner for the Vans Warped Tour 08, Relient K is eager to get back on the road. This is the first time we've been out for the entire endeavor. It's going to be a blast, says Thiessen, who relishes the Warped Tour's hot, dirty summer camp awesomeness. They'll be bringing along representative from Blood Water Mission, a nonprofit organization to promote clean blood and water efforts in Africa, tangibly reducing the impact of HIV and AIDS pandemic while addressing the underlying issues of poverty, injustice, and oppression. Catch Relient K co-headlining Warped Tour all summer and look for the Bird and the B-Sides EP on July 1st, and then it gives a track listing.
I like that because, yeah, it was interviews like this that puzzled us and didn't explain why an EP is 13 songs and half an hour and 32 minutes long.
Right.
And it wasn't until we finally talked to John Schneck we got some real clarity on that.
Hey, Dan, whatever you're into, it's on Tumblr.
Oh, nice. It's an ad on Jessica's phone right now.
It's the same thing 3 times in 3 different places on this blog.
Really? Whatever I'm into is on Tumblr? We'll see about that.
Not if you post a picture of a pumpkin or something and it's whatever, like, what? Dirty images. It thinks it's a dirty image pops up and it, like...
Right, because they kicked out... That's quite a statement when they, like, cleansed the site of porn many years ago.
I haven't been on Tumblr since, like, before that all happened. But I remember, like, seeing articles and stuff about it at the time.
This segment brought to you by Tumblr.com.
There was a crossword puzzle key from unscramblex.com. It says, here are the possible solutions for Relient K, the scene and clue. Definition, to bring together a group of animals.
Well, I don't understand a word you said, Can I see this?
Yes.
It is like a puzzle. It's like a quiz type thing.
I don't understand if it's because this was a question in a crossword puzzle somewhere once. Like, I can't imagine this being on a New York Times crossword puzzle.
Right.
But, like, this was on maybe some sort of a...
In some sort of... Oh, this isn't Tumblr, by the way. I confused myself by talking about Tumblr so much. There's a Tumblr ad on unscramblex.com.
No, there was a Tumblr ad on the blog about the Vans Warped Tour. This is a different website altogether. We moved on. No more Tumblr. Tumblr's dead and everyone knows it.
I'm better seen and not heard.
The kids are on the TikTok now.
Right. So on unscramblex.com, so I guess this must be a website for helping you solve crossword puzzles.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's like, what was that website we talked about?
Sorry, I'm like, yes, obviously, Danny. And then I realized that I might not have, I probably didn't
Quizlet.
actually say that.
It's like Quizlet. Remember we talked about Quizlet a couple weeks ago?
Right.
Because you can post like quizzes and stuff, but also people post answers to like college tests on there.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, I should have said crossword puzzle to start with. I apologize. That's on
fine.
Me. So then a couple things that are not Relient K related, but that pop up, definitely not Relient K associated. There's an Instagram account with the same spelling called Seen and Heard, at Heard, Seen, and their bio is Seen and Heard cutting through the BS in the Indian art world, one predator and power play at a time.
Did you say Indian or indie and?
Indian.
Okay.
Current posts are from our personal experiences. We choose anonymity. And there have been quite a few articles written on this particular account and the Me Too movement that popped up in the deep dive for this. There's also a British rural PR and marketing agency called Seen and Heard Public Relations and Marketing. And then did we go over the punk news review from X Carl Up and Die X?
Yes, we did.
Okay, cool.
We even talked about that with Greg Simpson.
Right, because we thought it was Curl Up and Die, but it's not. It's
Carl Up and Die.
No, but Carl Up and Die has done multiple reviews for albums.
Right.
I don't know, because the thing that like blows my mind is that Carl Up and Die only gave this album a 3, but it references a song on this album in the username. So I'm very confused.
But then in our Dr. Worm episode, we talked about it with Greg. We were like, it might be a reference to some other punk thing. It could be. Like, it might just be a coincidence that it's also a Relient K song,
Maybe.
Curl Up and Die.
Maybe.
Because we thought for all those episodes that his name was Curl Up and Die.
Right.
And then Greg's the one that said,
like,
it says Carl Up and Die, right? We're like, oh, no. And there are
my bad.
There are a lot of punk bands and albums and songs about curling up and dying. There was a hardcore band called Curl Up and Die.
By the way, this past week I finally went back, and since I'm a big Supergirl fan now, I rewatched that shipping video of Curl Up and Die, and I was like, you know what, this song makes sense here.
Okay.
This works for this.
Well, just one thing real quick. I just noticed on
Genius.
Did you see the Genius annotation?
No.
There's just one, and it's for the opening line. So here it is, just me, different drummer, and the same old beat. What's the name of this annotator? Merrild1324 5 years ago said, here Matt Thiessen is alluding to the quote from the book Walden, written by Henry David Thoreau. The quote is, if a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him step to the music which he hears, however measured or measured of far away. And that end quote. Matt is saying he has changed, but inside he is still the same old person. Also, there was literally a drummer change in the band at the time of this song. Dave Douglas to Ethan Luck. 1 upvote.
Also, dancing to the beat of your own drummer is like a thing, and
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's entirely possible that Henry David Thoreau was the first big quote to do that,
Yeah, it
but
could
going
be.
back to Seinfeld, it's like how yada 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 is attributed to Seinfeld, and it's like that was a phrase before
Yeah,
Seinfeld. It will be a
yeah.
phrase after Seinfeld. It's completely unfair that is like owned by them.
Yeah.
It's like it's like T Swift copywriting the phrase "this sick beat."
Is that a thing?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
she like trademarked this phrase "this sick beat"
Who is she, Gene Simmons?
right. She copyright. She tried to copyright trademark the money bag, but Gene Simmons had gotten to it first.
So what do you have for YouTube
Well,
stuff?
this week is like one of the worst. It's a long set of notes that I have, but it is one of the most cursed set of notes that I've ever had.
Oh, wow.
Not the content, just the lopsided nature of what I was able to find, because there were no covers of this song. No acoustic covers, no full band covers. There are three drum covers, a Lakeisha Kruger,
Nice.
and like a buttload of AMVs. Just like so many AMVs. Like, speaking of Curl Up and Die, which was one of the most overly covered Relient K songs ever. Sorry, Jessica says I'm being too loud. As you recall, Curl Up and Die was surprisingly like they were approached 50 covers.
Yes.
I think the number changes every week, but it really was like dozens and dozens and dozens of covers.
You're not peeking. It's just it's 11 p.m.
All right.
We have neighbors.
Okay. So like how there were so many covers of Curl Up and Die, and it was kind of shocking to see that was the song with the most covers. This is the song with the most AMVs. And it's like not even worth playing any of them because none of them like stand out incredibly. Like there's no like
Right.
WTF show that they chose in here, but there's like One Punch Man, Dragon Ball, Kingdom Hearts, multiple AMVs that contain multiple shows.
Like how we managed to miss the James Marsden picture at the very beginning of
Oh, that Let It Go.
Let It Go.
What did I let it go?
Let it all out.
Let it all out. If I get approximately the right words out of my face, then I'm pretty happy. There was also like part of the reason why there are so many AMVs is because there was like an AMV collab project. I think there might have been multiple AMV collab projects where like multiple editors all took a portion of the song and edited together some lyrics on screen to some anime clips, but then they would upload their sections independently to YouTube, and then someone else came along and would like download them and edit them together into the final video. And there are multiple collab projects like that. So you get one AMV, but then you get like 5 micro sections of that AMV.
Why are you saying collab and not collab?
I don't think that really matters. I think that collab and collab. What did you say?
Collab.
Collab. I don't
Like collaboration.
Yeah, and I'm saying collab. I don't think it's not really a word. It's like an internet word. I don't think depending on the emphasis I put in collab really matters that
put
much.
up a Twitter poll and be like, how do you pronounce collab? Because everybody
collab.
pronounces it collab.
Let's say the word out loud. Collaboration. That's how you say it. Yes, that's how you would truncate. That's how you would shorten that word. It's getting towards midnight, so we're getting loopy, and I'm just excited for you guys to hear our interview this week. Okay, collaboration or collaboration? Do you think there's a big difference there?
Yes.
Collaboration?
Who says collaboration?
Who wouldn't say collaboration? Why is that a problem?
Absolutely not.
I don't say collaboration, I'll have you know. I think people say collab, because if you have taken the word and made it into a shorter word, the emphasis changes.
I will have you know that I'm hip and I watch YouTube people sometimes and they all say collab.
You know what? Like almost every younger millennial, like Zoomer video game YouTuber says bros, and I hate it. I hate it. Because
He's talking about Super Mario Brothers.
I'm talking about Super Mario Brothers, and I'm talking about Super Smash Brothers. You put in a Super Smash Brothers game into your Nintendo console, you click start, and the guy goes, Super Smash Brothers. it's brothers. It's not bros, but people have seen it spelled on screen. You watch every Nintendo commercial from the 80s up to now, and if they say Super Mario Brothers, they say Super Mario Brothers.
This is legitimately
The TV show
a
is
huge pet peeve of his. Like, and I've heard this from him. So
I will stop. I will unsubscribe from a channel if they say bros too many times. So, this AMV had many bro labs. I think if you take collaboration, if you take a 5-syllable word and you cut it down to collab or collab, take a 5-syllable word and you cut it down to a 2-syllable word, the emphasis can change.
You know, usually when people take a break for a week, they come back and they're like really
Refreshed.
on point. They're refreshed. They just needed that little break. Nope, not here at Sadie Hawkins Pod. We come back worse than ever.
No, I think I'm having a great time. I'm having a good time. So, let's hear Thiessen spell this song out for everyone because he just loves to do it. At 2008, oh, that's right, I deleted my YouTube app.
Here, take mine.
Hold on, no, I can't. I can play it in a... So here at Rock the Universe... 2008, because I think they only played this song in 2008 and then didn't ever play or barely ever played it after that because all the live videos are from that year. So let's hear one version uploaded by Deficer Down 71, Deficer Down 71 or something like that. And Thiessen's gonna spell the title out for us.
And I think that's why we're all here tonight. We're all here having a good time, hanging out with one another. But it's also about not always doing what everybody else is doing. And I think a lot of us can probably relate to that too. It's a good thing. The song is called The Seen and Heard, SEENEHERD. It's about finding your own thing.
So there he is spelling it out. He did that all the time, and I just thought it was hilarious.
Interesting.
It's like, he can't... It's like, first of all, none of the people in the crowd contemplated that he even spelled it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's a pet peeve for me. I'm done with Relient K because he kept spelling Seen and Heard live in 2008. So there is a band called Seen and Heard. And they were not that big. They don't have anything on Spotify or they don't even really have any music on YouTube. But they have a YouTube presence. Like, they had a YouTube channel that seemed to have everything but 3 videos deleted. Like, you go to their YouTube channel, and it'll say, like, Vlog number 3, but numbers 1 and 2 aren't there.
Oh, no.
And I don't think they were a Christian band. I just don't see any particular... I think they were just basically, like, a mid-2000s pop-punk rock band, because they were clearly a Paramore analog.
Okay.
I'm going to play you one music video of theirs, and they're just clearly following like the Paramore Hayley Williams formula with the female lead singer that has the very particular sort of hair from the first Paramore album. So this song is called When He Calls, The Seen and Heard. Uploaded by the Seen and Heard YouTube channel.
If we're working out, I advise we consider this movement. We can work it out.
This is so Misery Business. This is just Misery Business 2.0.
This is very mid-2000s.
Yeah, this is like they were taking a Paramore thing. Then I found other videos of what I thought was a different band called Seen and Heard, but they were also British, like this band. And then I found a different video where they announced that they were going to announce that they have a new lead singer. So I was like, oh, this band started as like this very particular kind of pop punk rock from the 2000s. They had a male lead singer, and then they got a female lead singer, and they became a Paramore analog.
Gotcha.
And then there's a lot of tour footage of them like being really excited to go to McDonald's
Nice.
in America, I guess. Like they order multiple Big Macs and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, what you got there? You got a Big Mac."
They have McDonald's in England, though.
They do, but maybe they were. Hey, when we went to Paris, I was very excited to go. Our hotel was above the McDonald's, and I was very excited. We only ate there once. We didn't like use up more than one of our meals in Paris at McDonald's, but I was excited to try a Parisian quarter pounder.
Yeah, we wanted to see if it was called a Royale with cheese.
It was not.
It was not. It's just called a quarter pounder.
But the bread was awful. Like, it was the worst bread I've ever had. It was spongy, and like we had real bread in Paris, and it was amazing. But for some reason, the bread at McDonald's was like spongy and gross. So anyway,
Well, it probably got soggy on the boat on the way over from America.
maybe. Oh, here's the announcement when. I heard you. I had no comment. Yet it got
It
spongy.
didn't deserve a comment, Danny. It was just bad.
And honestly, like, that's all I have worth playing. It's just like this is the worst set of lyrics. Hey, folks, go to patreon.com/Sadie Hawkins Pod at the $10 tier. You get access to my Google Drive notes. These notes are super long, but nothing is worth playing, honestly. Okay, I forgot. There are a couple of fan videos. But again, none of them, there's like a family FMV, like some family goes somewhere. There's some people going to the Missouri State, the Montana Fair in 2012. Somebody, this one might be worth playing. I forgot about this one. Someone has like a visual mixtape. Like they made a mixtape and they posted it to YouTube with visuals to go along. Like more than just the standard fan-made lyric video or fan-made slideshow set to a song. Like they did a full half an hour of many songs with a slideshow. That shows a lot of devotion. They did that. But I forgot about this one. I guess we can play this. This is somebody created a 3D render of the troll face. The meme troll face.
Wow,
this
yeah.
guy with like the he's like I gotcha, that meme guy. The original MXPX memes logo had this face on it. Somebody makes a 3D rendering of it, and they just like show you how they did it set to this song.
Wow.
And when it's done, I'll show you it. It looks horrible. It looks really bad.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't look like the meme guy anymore at all. It looks like a rejected version of Jack Skellington, or like if they ever did a Nightmare Before Christmas sequel and there's like multiple Skellington mans, then this would be like one of his brothers or something. And I guess the last thing I'll play before we get to our big interview, thank goodness we have an interview with a member of Relient K.
We will definitely drop that time code in because
to save this episode, we have someone coming up. But real quick, here's a compilation of NASCAR crashes set to the Seen and Heard.
No. Wait, this looks like a video game. Oh,
no, it's real footage.
It's just really
and it's not
low res.
It's not just low res.
Oh,
it's
that's upsetting. I don't want to see that.
Well, I won't show it to you, but it's a television being filmed. Someone made an FMV of NASCAR crashes where apparently they just filmed their television. So I get what I'm assuming, and this is just an assumption, that cash cows, cash spelled like you have a cache of money, not a cache, like you have a cache of something, CACHE cows. I guess they just like film their television screen because they don't have a VCR, but they do somehow have the ability to upload that footage to their computer in 2008 and make a music video out of it.
Yeah, they just have a monster cable.
Right.
Easy peasy.
But my question is, how do they... I guess so. But they don't have a VCR, but they have a camera and a monster cable. Like, just VCRs would have been cheaper in 2008.
Yeah, but do you upload it directly to your computer and use whatever video software comes with your computer and editing software, I mean. I just want to say that I didn't do the like rent a movie from Blockbuster and record it that often. I did it once, maybe twice for this friend, and I think actually one of the times it was of a movie that I already owned. So
Blockbuster went out of business, Jessica.
I know.
And not only can they not come after you, but it's probably your fault.
I know, that's what I'm thinking about. I just wanted to clarify. I'm a good Hufflepuff girl.
So here it is. I wish we had asked our guest what Harry Potter house is he in, but here is our interview with the one and only Dermike the Buffalo.
Seen and heard. Block out the sun like a flock of birds, and I don't wanna go. I don't wanna go.
Hello?
Oh, hello there.
Hello, Dermike.
How are you doing, Danny?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, here I am. It's just me.
Great. Well, okay, so I wasn't actually thinking you'd be on video, so that's perfect because we'll put this up for our patrons to see the whole video.
Oh, yeah, it's me here on camera scaring the dog upstairs. That's fine. He's terrified.
How big is he compared to you?
Oh, he's just a young pup. He's like a pocket puppy compared to me. I'm a big, strong, burly. Oh, we're fighting now. I'm much bigger. I'm a bison.
You're right. I'm just admiring the white paint that they gave you. I didn't know that a buffalo can even howl. That's great. You're filled with talent.
Well, I'm also a ventriloquist, as you can see, because I'm not moving my mouth at all.
Right, well, that's
I'm
understandable.
Very good at ventriloquism and impersonation. This is the sound of an elephant.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Hey, thank you.
So I didn't properly introduce you, but welcome to Sadie Hawkins Pod, the second member of Relient K we've ever had on the podcast. It's Dermike the Buffalo.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So great. This is so exciting, honestly, because I've been a Relient K fan for a long time, and I remember when you were first premiered on stage. It was great, so lots of fun summer memories seeing you out there crowd surfing with Relient K.
Oh, yes, I love to crowd surf. One time in Nashville, I was crowd surfing, and then a gentleman hopped on my back, and he had a cowboy hat and a water lasso, and it was incredible.
Wow, so you're still out there. I mean, what year was that?
Oh, 2001.
Oh, that was a while ago. Okay, 2000.
Maybe 2002.
Okay.
The Back to the Future.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, so I guess so just for anyone out there listening who might not be familiar with you, actually, we've talked about it. Jessica was not familiar with you, even though she's been a Relient K fan by the time she became a fan.
What? I'll have you know I'm on the cover of a live album.
Oh, well, yes. Well, now everyone, I think more fans know who you are, but especially I've seen Reddit posts when I was kind of looking into refreshing myself on your history. I saw Reddit posts where there were fans who didn't know who you were and stuff like that, exactly why you were on stage, when you were there. So just to explain for any Relient K fans who kind of missed out on when you were in the band and maybe aren't familiar, could you kind of explain how you ended up meeting up with Relient K and going on tour with them?
Legend has it that, my memory's a little fuzzy. I've had several paint jobs, and the fumes have gone to my head. But
right.
As I recall it, I'm from Buffalo, New York, of course. And the boys in Relient K found me in an alley next to a garbage can. And there was a little bit of extra room in the trailer. So in I went, and I joined the band, and we rocked and rolled all across the states for many years. I would be on stage, and I would be the mascot. I am mentioned in many liner notes and on several T-shirts and the cover of a live album.
Right. That's amazing. It's kind of I mean, I don't know any other expression, so don't take this personal, but it's kind of like a zero to hero story, right? Or rags to riches. That's the term. Or it's like a rags to riches story because there you were in a dumpster. I mean, that seems like you're pretty much your low point. Next to a dumpster.
Adjacent.
Right. But I mean,
dumpster Jace.
Still closer to a dumpster than I think anyone wants to find themselves in life. And then all of a sudden, Relient K just pulls up and like pulls you up out of obscurity and has you join the band. Like, did you even have any musical aspirations growing up as a Buffalo in Buffalo, New York? Did you even imagine going on stage or having any kind of art dreams?
I do play a mean cowbell.
Okay.
So
Very good.
I'm a big Will Ferrell fan.
Right.
I'd always aspired to working my way up to those gold-plated diapers.
I don't even know what that means.
Oh, well, you need to watch the cowbell sketch.
Oh, I don't remember the gold-plated diapers. Do you remember that line, Jess? No, she doesn't remember that line either. I have to rewatch it. It's been a while. Yeah. Well, now I've got some homework to do. I feel like I wasn't prepared enough if I didn't go back. I had no idea you played the cowbell. So you, I guess you had. You're insulting our guests. I know.
Do you want to know what I said when the boys found me?
What did you say?
I said, I'm still waiting for you to put me in the back of your van and take me away from this dumpster.
Is that where Thiessen got that melody and lyrics? Because that would have been a couple years before that song was on an album, right?
Yes, and he has never given me my share of the royalties.
Wow, the dirt is coming out on Sadie Hawkins' pod talking to Dermike.
He's called me Dirt Mike.
Oh, no. But I mean,
Spilling the tea.
That seems...
by the way, I love to drink tea. Here's me sipping the tea.
Oh, very good. You like it cold? You got some extra ice in there?
Yes, we're in the South.
Right. So I guess that's the question is after a while you kind of disappeared from the road life with Relient K, and then you turned up again in 2016 during the Air for Free tour with it wasn't the Air for Free tour, the Looking for America tour. And so you kind of came out of retirement, and what have you been up to all these years?
Oh, I worked on a solo album with the Pokin' At Ya Punk.
Okay.
It's been shelved. Tooth and Nail wasn't too keen on it. We tried to, we got some piercings and we tried for a second album on Solid State, but it turned out it just sounded too much like The Chariot.
Okay. Couldn't they just put 4 fans of The Chariot on the sticker on the front and market it that way? I think you got to have some meetings and be like, yeah, it sounds like The Chariot, but, people like bands that sound like bands.
That's a good point. Maybe we can pair up with Jeffrey from the Toys R Us Kids, that giraffe. And
oh, yeah.
Have what are some other famous clothing
mascots?
Mascot creatures.
I'm thinking of...
We could be like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, except I'm a bison.
Right. I can't think of any. I can't think of any other cloven mascots. I'm thinking of like Toucan Sam and like the Noid.
He can be the MC.
Yeah.
Actually, no. He programs because everything he does is in Fruity Loops.
I get it. Jessica can't hear you, unfortunately. She's stepping back because she doesn't know what to ask you. Do you have any questions for Dermike? I
actually do.
Okay, Jessica's heading over to ask you some questions.
Hello, Jessica. Avert your eyes. I'm a pretty buffalo.
Were you ever on stage with MXPX during Slowly Going the Way of the Buffalo?
Well,
it's possible. I mean, have a very fuzzy memory from all these paint fumes, so I encourage you to do some research. I will tell you I love that album, and the theme fiasco is my personal theme.
I'm thinking the timeline doesn't necessarily match up because Dermike was discovered around 2001, and that the album you're referring to was 98, right? Yeah. So... I mean, you could have been on stage with MXPX during Slowly Going the Way of the Buffalo song.
I was in the pit tearing it up.
Yeah, so your favorite. So I guess it seems like dangerous, right? So what are you made of exactly? Because I always assumed you're as a mask as a buffalo statue. I kind of always assumed you were made of wood. Like even when I saw you like at Soul Fest in 2002 and stuff like that, I never got my hands on you. So I always you didn't crowd surf
Many have
over me.
tried, many
I know.
have lusted after my fine plastic shell. Yes, it is plastic.
Oh, okay.
But you, sir, have you seen Danny? Look
Yes.
in my eyes.
Right.
Tell me, Danny, have you seen Toy Story 3?
I have, yes.
Danny,
Yeah.
Danny,
Right.
look at my eye, Danny.
Okay.
Did you cry when they were about to be melted in Toy Story 3?
Yes, I did.
Then you know, Danny. You know that plastic is real.
Yes.
I'm alive, Danny. I'm alive.
I can see that. I'm talking to you.
Don't cry for me, Argentina. Cry for the toys at the end of Toy Story 3.
I don't even. I'm just so caught up now. I don't even know what to say. I'm about to burst out into tears myself.
Would you like to hear a bison gargle? Do a thing?
Sure.
I was pressing on.
Oh yes, it's hard to tell, but I can.
It was a buffalo gargle cover.
Yes, you should put that on YouTube or SoundCloud or something.
It's tearing up the charts as we speak.
So, speaking of the charts and songs and records and all of that, the guys at Relient K finally put you on the cover of an album with the live record. That was
about time.
Yeah, there was the vinyl only pressing, and then a couple years later, was it last year or this year? I don't remember anymore. This year's been sort of a thing.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, so this year. Well, you guys are. Jessica says it was this year. You say it was last year. Who knows?
It feels like a year ago, but it very well could have been this
I know.
year.
I guess I didn't ask.
I've just been in a basement.
Right. I guess you kind of like all set for having to quarantine, right? So you've just been. Well, hold on. Before we get to that, so you're on the cover of the live album, and that was about time, right? It was nice because you came out of retirement, you went on tour in 2016, and then they put you on the cover of the live album. And did that feel like you were finally? Because you said earlier that Thiessen stole a song from you and never gave you credit. So were they kind of making up for that? Maybe.
Yes, and I got my own bus for that tour, so that really went a long way too. I got some fine fillies, right. And I tweaked the band, and I asked them for a special favor. I said, guys, at every sound check, can you just play "May the Horse Be With You"?
Mm-hmm.
And they said yes. So that we worked it out.
That's great. Good. Well, I'm glad things are still good between you guys. So then today, as I was starting to touch on, like with everything in the quarantine in 2020, I know you've been living in a basement for pretty much all of this COVID situation, and you've been staying with Robert Gay.
Yes, that's right. He was the trumpet player, harmony fella, the Garfunkel to Thiessen Simon for the Earthquakes project. And, Matthew had sent me off to accompany Mr. Robert for a cover show. Mm-hmm. It was Relient K and Switchfoot covers at Rocketown. No, nice. Not at Rocketown. Oh. That's a joke. It was actually at a different venue entirely.
Okay.
But I have remained here because Relient K was moving their storage unit. And this has been the best place for me to remain safe during lockdown.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't really go out there crowd surfing right now anymore because, you people with their hands all over you, and like who knows who's wearing masks or whatever, and there wouldn't even be a concert situation for you to.
Right. So I've used this opportunity to brush up on some poetry. Would you like to hear some bison poetry?
Absolutely.
All right. This
Sadie
one
Hawkins
is called
Pod exclusive. Sorry, go ahead.
This one is called 2020 Buffalo Style.
Okay.
All right. How low, buffalo, can you go? Buffalo wild wings, yet I have none. Buffalo wild wings, yet tame am I. Buffalo wild wings, yet I am bison. Goodbye, son. Goodbye.
Wow.
And scene.
That was
And
beautiful.
Thank you.
That was amazing. It was as emotional as Toy Story 3, to be honest. I can't stop feeling emotional.
It's okay if you need to cry.
I know. Should I?
You need to curl up and die?
Yes.
That's permitted.
That's a song. That's a Relient K song. I don't know if you realize that. Did
What?
you do that on purpose?
Stole from me again?
Oh no! That was one of Curl Up and Die was one of your songs?
Oh wow.
Yes, of course. I didn't realize they'd stolen from me again. Next thing I know, they'll be stealing my favorite catchphrase. Skittle, we love Skittles and combos.
All right. Well, wait. So Skittles.
I like to refer to myself as plural.
Right.
Or the royal we.
Yeah. So wait. So you like Skittles and combos?
Doesn't everybody?
Well, that's funny you mentioned that because they did have a song about bringing Skittles and combos to
what?
I'm surprised. Did you never realize when people would throw Skittles and combos at the stage? I think you would have been on stage during those times.
To be honest, I had headphones in and my eyes closed, and I was just listening to 11D7.
Okay.
On my iPod.
That's fair. You So yeah, they wrote a song about Skittles and combos, and if you ever remember being pelted with those, maybe you thought that was like people bringing you gifts, but they were actually bringing them for the band.
That does explain why I always felt so hungry and smelled candy and pretzel stuffed with pizza flavoring.
Right, with chalky
meat. Matt's fingers always smelled of pizza dust.
Right.
As if they had just, reached into a plastic bag full of pretzels stuffed with some sort of pizza dust.
Right.
It was the strangest thing. I could never figure it out.
I refer to it as cheese chalk. That's what they were always filled with. But you like them.
Pizza chalk and cheese chalk.
Yes, exactly. Have you tried the new sweet combos while we're on this subject? Like they have caramel combos and chocolate combos.
I must have been in the basement too long. They have sweet combos?
Yes, they do. They've had the savory combos forever, and in the last couple of years they created sweet combos. They don't have peanut butter, but they do have chocolate and caramel and vanilla.
Well, you don't really need a peanut butter combo because that's basically like a Ritz Bits or a stuffed pretzel.
Yeah.
You could get that at Sam's Club.
Right.
I know.
You go to Sam's Club a lot?
All the time, my brother. Nothing like good savings.
Right. Well, I'm trying to think.
Plus those stickers and the blue vests.
The what?
Oh, that's Walmart. Never mind. I just like those greeters.
Well, it's the same company, so I guess wasn't his name like Sam Walmart? Isn't that where it comes from?
I believe it was Sam Walton.
Oh, okay.
Sam Walmart would be a great name for a band, though.
It would be. Definitely some sort of awful skate punk band that's mostly just on SoundCloud. Not SoundCloud, Bandcamp.
I'm going to release a cover of 100 Gex Stupid Horse as Sam Walmart.
So you keep up with music nowadays. You like 100 Gex? Nice.
Yes, I personally have 1,000 Gex, but 100 is a respectable amount of Gex to have.
Yeah. Yeah, people got to start somewhere. I mean,
I've been a big collector of Gex and house lizards and all sorts of reptiles. I'm a reptilophobe file, whatever the word is.
I guess it'd be file. A phobe would be if you were scared of them.
Well, I am a little.
What, a little bit? What really scares? Let's get deep into it. What really scares Dermike the Buffalo?
Oh, that's a very good question. There's a lot of things in this world that scare people, but most of them don't scare me. For example, the virus, it didn't really scare me too much. I was worried about the boys, but being made of plastic, it doesn't scare me too much. But you want to know what really gets me terrified?
What?
That incinerator at the end of Toy Story 3! Ah! Ah! Ah!
It's all right. It's just a movie. Oh, there's a Toy Story 4,
I couldn't ever bear to watch it.
You thought it would just all be set in the incinerator?
I mean, where else is there to go?
If you heard that early leaked plot before Toy Story 4 came out, that the incinerator comes to life and goes hunting for the toys because he has unfinished business with them, that's not the route they took with Toy Story 4.
Really? I thought it was.
No, honestly.
I read a draft of this script that was basically like Ernest Scared Stupid. There was a incinerator that turned into a goblin and was making little clay sculptures of all the toys and turning children into toys and then putting them all in the incinerator. And then it turned into Dante's Inferno.
No, I don't. I think after the horrible experience that was Good Dinosaur, they decided not to have any more like horrible suffering in Pixar movies. So they went a much different route.
Well, that's good. Did you know I have a cameo in Pocahontas?
I assume that there's many Buffalo in there, but you're in there specifically as well?
Oh, yes. One of the animators was drawing me when I was but a young calf.
Oh, wow. So Pocahontas would have been before they found you in Buffalo, before Relient K found you in Buffalo. So did you like model for Disney and then had a...
Yes, up in Ithaca.
Okay. And then
Ithaca is a little known hub of Disney activity and animation. Right. Most people don't know.
Right. And then like I guess that just led to so all that Disney success maybe led to a life of it led to a life of like excess, and then one day you found yourself next to a dumpster. Are we
exactly? I
Wow.
grazed too hard out there in the wide world. All that success went to my head. As you can see, it's rather large.
Yes, it is. It's taking up the entire frame.
It is. I apologize. I'll try to make it simple.
That's okay. That's fine. So I feel like we've discovered a lot of secrets about Dermike, and you've shared so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's been a pleasure to let you in on all of my history and talents and songwriting expertise.
Yes.
Like I always say, you can get air for free if you step outside.
Yeah, oh, okay. We'll let. I had something to say about that, but we'll just let it go.
All right. Well, you've got some hippopota hits and some hippopota misses, and not everything can work out every time.
These are all things you wrote. These are all part of your poetry.
Of course.
Okay. All right. Maybe we'll follow up about this in the future. I'm seeing a pattern here.
Pressing on in the meantime.
All right, I will. So thank you so much. Again, thank you, Dermike, for sharing your time and speaking to us.
Oh, you're welcome, Danny.
I wasn't expecting to launch direct. Hi, I didn't even see you yet. I wasn't expecting to launch directly into it, but I'm like, oh, let's just do it. Let's go for it. So how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm going to have to run out the door in just a minute and go pick up some new glasses frames. During lockdown, if something goes wrong or if something breaks, you can't necessarily go replace it.
Right.
So I lost the earpiece of my glasses during lockdown, and it was kind of time to get some new frames anyway. So I got my eye test this morning. I'm going to go pick those up in a little bit.
Okay.
But it's been an interesting time here in Nashville, and still doing lots of music, mostly from home or some live streams here and there. And want to give a shout out to my boy Matt because it was his birthday a couple days ago, old Matty T.
Yep.
And it's been fun to tune in and hear you guys dissect the songs one at a time. I really enjoy the Sadie Hawkins pod experience.
Yeah, we plan to do some, because you were on the Earthquakes album, right? So eventually we're gonna do those songs. We're gonna do probably most of them on the Patreon, but we're gonna do some in front of the paywall. And when we do, we want to like talk to you more about your involvement on that record and everything. So, yeah,
that'd be great.
But I magnified
earlier this summer was over at Darren's place again, doing some more stuff for his solo record. So I might reach out to him and see if he has some specific memories that I can pull from, or some interesting stories that I didn't hear firsthand.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, Magnified Pod gave me an ultimatum that we're not allowed to like officially have you on the podcast until they do. I mean, I don't think they're really holding me to that, but they did say that at one point. They're like, Robert's not allowed to go on Sadie Hawkins pod for a regular interview until we've had him first.
I don't know, because they have told me that they're going to have me on at Christmas time for like a Christmas Shoes special.
Oh, right. That's right. Oh man, that's the funniest thing. I told you about that, Jess, right? That he's the kid from Christmas Shoes.
Yeah, and Cedarmont Kids.
Because no, I don't think I know about that. What is that?
Cedarmont Kids is the #1 selling Christian children's music.
Oh, okay.
And so people who are a little bit younger maybe grew up with it, or I would be like in middle school or high school, and a girl like that maybe I thought was kind of cute would come up to me and she'd be like, "Hey, were you in sing-along videos when you were a little kid? Because I was babysitting last night and this one little kid totally looked like you." And that would be the moment at which I finally talked to like some girl I had a crush on, only to find out that she was just asking whether my child self was in sing-along videos.
Okay.
And I'd be like, yeah. And then they would never talk to me again.
Oh, wow.
No, but Cedarmont was awesome. It was a cool way to grow up in the scene. I give Matt crap sometimes because Cedarmont actually outsold Relient K. So when I was on the road with him, I'd be like, yeah, you know, Relient K's fine, but they're not like multi-platinum like Cedarmont Kids.
Right. That's hilarious. Well, I have to look into that now. Yeah.
Like Wheels on the Bus and Jesus Loves Me and stuff like that.
That's why that was, I mean, even like Veggie Tales, which we've talked about, it's like there was still like like Pixar, there was a thing for adults and for kids to watch those. And I was older than I should have been watching Veggie Tales. Yeah, but this sounds like it was just for kids. So, okay, so that makes sense that I have no idea what that is.
I also want to shout out my friends at Blimey Cow. This is my friend. Well, this is Jordan, but his older brother Josh and I went to all the shows together growing up in Nashville and got into Relient K around the same time. And then they started their YouTube channel, which is like super popular. A lot of like church groups and stuff and youth groups use their videos because they're really funny and they're like pretty clean and sort of come from that church world. But yeah, Josh and I every year would do like year-end lists of our favorite albums. And whatever year came out, you probably can remember, what, like 2005?
2004, yeah.
That year, it was our #1 album for Josh and for me. And I was like, all right, this guy's my best friend. We have the same musical taste. He knows what good music is.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds familiar. And I'm who's someone on Blimey Cow has like
Josh Taylor, my good buddy.
What's his name?
Josh Taylor.
Josh Taylor,
his younger brother is Jordan Taylor.
Okay.
They're both in like all the videos.
Right. One of them, we discovered one of their videos early on, and because it was like Relient K related, and we weren't like agreeing with his points, and then other people replied to us, and I don't think it was you. I don't think it would have been you, because it was like early in our podcast, like the first couple months. We found a Jordan Taylor YouTube video, and we weren't agreeing with his takes that in just this one particular video. And then we haven't researched him since then. I just want to mention this in case it ever gets dug up now that you're mentioning that you know them personally. And then like someone's like, well, you know, you said like a year ago, you said all this stuff about one of Jordan's Relient K.
Feel free to disagree. Okay. I disagree with my friends all the time.
Okay. That sounded familiar when you said it, because we didn't know about Blimey Cow, and someone wrote to us and we're like, oh, they have all these channels. There's, you know, and Blimey Cow is one of them. Yeah, so that sounded familiar. So that's cool that you know them. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So thanks so much. And like I said, we want to have you on for talking about working on the Earthquakes album.
Yeah, that'd be fun to chat about.
How did you, I guess last question, how did you meet Relient K and Matt? Just from working in the music industry, or was there like a story behind meeting Relient K specifically?
Yeah, so Thiessen is the only one that I've like met and worked with.
Okay.
I never met, like, aside from going to shows as a kid, I never met any of the other band members. But I was a member of a band based here in Nashville called Luthi for probably about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And the lead singer, Christian Luthi, is just like really social, like really outgoing and gregarious, and loves to do co-writes with people. And he got connected, like, I guess through a friend of a friend, with Matt. And they did a little bit of co-writing. And so the very last song on the Luthi album, Stranger, that I played on, is called Steel and Lovin'. And it's a co-write between Christian Luthi and Matt Thiessen.
Okay, I gotta write that down right now.
Yeah, you should check it out. The whole album is super cool. And around that same time, like, Christian is a good buddy of mine, and so I was going over to like his apartment to just like hang out one night, and he and Matt were just finishing a writing session. And Christian was like, "Oh, Matt, you should totally meet Robert, because he grew up on your music," and he talked me up. He was like, "Robert's a great musician, he plays trumpet," and I was like, "Oh, shucks." And Matt, I think at whatever time that was like Air for Free was about to come out, or he had just finished working on it. And he was like, "Oh, I wish I'd known you sooner, because I just tried to play some trumpet on this record and it was hard. I could sort of do it because like he started playing trumpet like when he was a kid,
right?
But he hasn't really kept it up." And he was like, "I'll have to give you a call for the next one."
Okay.
And then like a year and a half later in 2017, I got this text, and it was like, "Hey, this is Matt Thiessen. You want to come play trumpet on my new record?"
Oh, nice.
And I was like, "Yeah."
That's great.
And he was like, "Okay, great. I'll like give you this information. We're doing it at my friend Darren's house." And I just like kind of somehow knew. I was like, "Wait a second, is this Darren King?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he's going to play drums on it too.
Wow.
And that was just crazy to me, because I definitely was a super, super big fan of, you know, Relient K and Mute Math and Isley. Like, Darren's married to Stacy from Isley, which is super cool. Just amazing group of people. It was awesome to be part of that project, and then get to tour with Matt opening for Owl City.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is a fun fact that's pretty cool.
Okay.
So just at the start of this month, I had a new roommate move in, and his name is Josh Werblin, and he was the merch guy for the Owl City cinematic tour that Matt and I did.
Okay.
So it's pretty awesome to have him and Clyde Howling earlier back here hanging out. And when I was looking for someone to fill the room, like, he was looking for a house, and we were both like, I don't know, it can be hard to find someone who you get along with, but I heard he was looking for a place. And I was like, oh, well, I know we get along because we spent a month on a bus together and we're still friends. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Small world. It's like a small world. It all kind of comes together. That's great.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, go get your new glasses. Don't want to hold you up anymore.
No problem, Danny.
Cool.
It was
all
good
right.
chatting with you.
Good to chat with you.